How is it that we all have the same number of hours in a day, 24, but a select few tend to get more things done than most of us, which obviously leads to them accomplishing more in a year than most of us do. But that's not the worst part. We all have these things we are so passionate about that we feel we are so drawn to do. Why do we find it difficult to see these things through and instead find ourselves doing more of the things we want to let go of? There's a big reason for that. The human mind is naturally drawn to comfort. But that's not a bad thing. We could use the knowledge of this nature to drive our success around comfort, to make discipline an easy thing for us to do. Stay with me. What I'm going to do here is show you the exact practical systems that changed life for me literally last year. That made it possible for me to do the things that I'm so passionate about and at the same time earn a living, build businesses online and enjoy the whole process altogether. But a video of this nature that exposes how the brain works can't be for everyone. This is specifically for you if you know you can do so much more, but not just that. That's just one part of the equation. So you know you can do so much more and you believe you know this is the time to do that. First, there's a big problem with goal setting, especially big goals. The traditional method is to set big actionable goals and then obviously the next step is to pursue those goals. But the problem is this: at the instant of setting those goals, it's still something that's far-fetched, something that's far from your reach. You can't grasp it yet. I mean, it's a goal in essence, so it's something to be achieved in the future. So it's more or less a dream. And when does the human body naturally dream? When we're asleep. So I say all that to say this: 85% of the time, we make the mistakes of letting our big, wildest dreams remain just that, dreams, fantasies. And the same way we wake up after a long night's sleep, that's the same way we eventually, unfortunately, wake up from these big dreams, these big goals that we've set for ourselves. But there's a very easy solution to this problem. There's a way to make our mind and body perceive these dreams as a reality and not just the mere fantasies. It's very easy and practical, but I'm going to say this first. At the start of every session in school, we are given the curriculum and scheme of work for every course. So we basically know what's going to happen in week 1, week 2, up until examination week. In summary, we know the things we need to do to make examination a success. And subconsciously, our mind knows that getting through the session is a reality because we can literally see all the steps laid out for us by the school, by the system. But this is not how it works in real life. You need to make your curriculum, your scheme of work for every goal you intend to achieve. You need to lay out all the processes that you're going to have to take to get a particular goal done. Then and only then will you move from having a mere illusion, a mere fantasy, to not having a goal that you can literally hold in your hand. Therefore, we need to master the art of how are you going to achieve this goal? What are the steps involved? And you need to be as detailed as possible. I call this surrounding your goals with processes. You need to surround the goal with all the steps involved in achieving it from start to finish. It's the first step. I like to look at it this way. So this is me, this is you too. And this is our goal, the big giant goal. And there's a whole big bridge that we need to climb to get to this goal. And how are we going to get there? Are we going to walk? Are we going to run? Are we going to use a bicycle, a tricycle, a motorcycle? Are we going to use a car? What brand of car? Is it a Mercedes or Toyota? Are we going to fill the car along the way? So what filling station, what fuel station are we going to use? Where are we going to get fuel from? Are we going to stop to go to the restroom along the way? This is how detailed you need to be when putting your processes around the goals. And this is what that does for you. First off, you've seen the processes listed, just like the curriculum analogy I gave you. So now you firmly believe that this goal might actually be possible. Maybe you don't fully believe right now, but you have a different perception of that goal. It now feels like something you can see. That's just the first thing. The second thing, and the most important, your mind now believes, and your mind is the greatest asset you have. So once this happens, it changes every single thing. Your mind starts to pay attention to it because now your mind feels you care so much about this particular goal. No, the thing that was once just an illusion or just a dream, that feels like a tangible thing to your mind. You know, that's why most times you could just be doing something random, like having a shower in the bathroom, and then you start thinking of some point you should have used in a fight or an argument earlier on. Why does that happen? The mind feels that you care so much about that, And so it goes to work. And so it goes to work for you, and later you're like, yo, I should have done this, I should have said this, and well, the time has already passed. And that's how powerful the mind can literally be when we harness it in fields that we need it to put strength in. And we've already done the whole process from the start of the video. So everything you've done up to now with position your mind, your subconscious in a way to work for you, literally.
And by the way, I went all out to make a 7-day momentum challenge for you guys for absolutely free. So you can get started with all the principles I'm going to bring out in this video. It's going to take just 10 minutes a day. You will be tempted to spend more than 10 minutes on this exercise, but stick to 10 minutes. I want to build so much anticipation in your mind, in your body, so by the end of 7 days, you feel so eager to go and get work done.
We've achieved a few things up to this point. First, we've gotten rid of the traditional way of thinking about goals and adopted an exceptional method. Second, we also now believe that this goal is very, very achievable. Like, we can literally feel the goal. For some of you, you've already realized the date you're going to achieve the goal. That's how powerful these steps can be. We've also created a clear roadmap to success. Now it's time to take action. It's time for the juicy parts. However, this action will not be the usual. This is what we're gonna do. You get the list of processes that we've already made, the processes for your goals, and we're going to take action on the tiniest process that requires the littlest effort. Again, the tiniest process that requires the littlest effort. If there's no process like that, I'm going to show you a system right now. For instance, your goal is to lose weight or get fit this year. You've analyzed the whole processes and it feels just too big. The tiniest process could just be doing a squat, a body squat, like just stand up, do squats. Your mind is going to think, oh, what's happening? This is different. We are not used to this. There's a term called inertia in physics and science, and it's basically saying that the body at rest wouldn't move until a force, either internal or external force, is applied to it. And most times, the force needed for us to take an action feels too big because of how we look at the goals. Because the goals feel too big, too excessive, and what we're going to do here is psych the mind to feel that it's so easy to start.
I've just switched to this new mic I got, so let me know in the comments if you guys prefer the sound. So I switched to that in the next videos. The next step in our system might just be the toughest one for most of us, basically due to the time and age we find ourselves in now. Social media, distractions readily available at our fingertips. I find it so difficult to wake up in the morning and not look at my notifications. It's a struggle. Obviously, I'm getting better at it now, but previously I had to just look at notifications even when I wasn't expecting any text. It's never been as easy as it is today to be so distracted. But get this, it's also never been easier than it is today to be so successful, because all you need to do is reduce your attention to distraction. Even if it's by 20%, 40%, you do that and you're instantly better than the previous version of yourself. Once you reduce the way you pay attention to these things, you immediately get more time to do more of the things that you want to do. So as you can already realize, this next step is focus, commitment. And there's a definition of focus I've recently fallen in love with. It's from Alex Hormozi, one of my personal favorites. It says, focus isn't only about zeroing in and saying, I'm going to do this task. It's more than that. Focus occurs when you remove everything else, and what's left literally is focus. And its definition of commitment follows the same suit. It defines it as the elimination of alternatives. And for me personally, some alternatives to doing productive tasks in the past, binge watching football on the weekends and during the weekday also. I would sit and watch football for so long. For you, it could be Netflix, it could be some other stuff, what you use most of the time to do. It could be or TikTok. And most of the times, we don't realize how much of these actions are just habits. I didn't know I had a habit of watching football until I wanted to reduce the time I spent doing that, and it was such a difficult thing to do. One of the most important steps when it comes to having laser focus will be to understand your golden and siesta hours. It's so crucial. Your golden hours can be seen as those times of the day where you feel your best to do work. And then those siesta hours will be the time of the day when you just feel groggy. Most times we know these times ourselves, but we don't just realize the impact it can have when we utilize this knowledge effectively. For me, I realized that the best time I love to work would be the quiet hours. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to know what's going on around me. I just want to zone in and work. So most times when I was in school, it would be at night. And now I've made it a habit to wake up way earlier than I used to. So now I get up in the morning by 4 a.m. And so I have lots of time to put in good work before I step out for my 9 to 5. Most times we leave the work that we want to do, the passion that we want to pursue, we leave those tasks to the time of the day when we feel so tired. And so we pick up those things, but it just feels so difficult to do. It feels so impossible to even go on with that thing, because get it, we are so tired, the body doesn't feel like working because we've been worked up the whole day. Get this knowledge, know yourself, know the times you love to work. For me, I'll personally advise to do the work you love to do. The thing that you claim you want to achieve this year, I would advise to do that way earlier in the morning. But that's when discipline part comes in, because you have to go to bed earlier than usual. There's this video I saw on Instagram about a lady. She was interviewed and she said she wakes up by 2:30, and immediately people started giving backlash that these self-improvement coaches should reduce the way they lie. I mean, if I saw that video last 2 years or last 3 years, I wouldn't believe it. But now I'm literally happy to get up in the morning by 4. Recently, I've been getting up by 3 because I want to have more time to do these things that, again, I claim to love. Do you know there's actually a bad part of focusing on getting better at something? You want to get better at it, so at a point, you're going to suck. You're going to be so bad at it. I mean, there are so many times I would want to improve my skills at something, or I want to get better at a particular task, and it just feels like, yo, I'm burning. It feels like I can't do more than I know. I just see it like this. This is something I need to do to get closer to where I want to be. Have the knowledge that you will be so bad at what you're trying to get better at. So once you go into that thing with this mindset, so you already know this feeling is going to occur. So you're not scared of this feeling. So when you feel so bad at what you're doing and what you're trying to get better at, just know that you already knew that this was going to come. So you don't feel like stopping. You know what? Let's do this. Comment what your goal is in this video, save it, and the next month, next 2 months, you're going to come back here to reply to your comments saying you've made this much progress on it, saying you've accomplished this already. Let's give every other person motivation to take action, to do the thing they want to do this year. Please do that. Now, the last part of our system. I put this as the last part because ideally, I want you to think of it as something that comes after you followed all steps of the whole system. But get this, it's also as valuable as the rest of the system. The last part is play, having fun. Yes, we want to put more time to work. We want to get started on what we want to do. We want to think of our goals differently, but we also need to feel refreshed. We also need to be human. And so for me, what I do is I think of it this way. And I got this from the book Atomic Habits. So it's a thing called delayed gratification. You do the tasks you need to do in a day to earn the right to have fun, to earn the right to play, to earn the right to watch Netflix, to scroll on TikTok. So you have your schedule for the day. You make sure you get those things done by a certain time. You evaluate those tasks. And once you've gotten majority of them done, you can now proceed to watch Netflix, to binge watch, to do those things that you can do while relaxing. I hope that makes us happy, and I hope that's cleared some part of this video where it feels like everything was going to be rigid. I honestly do play, I honestly do have fun. Now it's time for tips and tricks that would make these systems a lot more easier to follow. The first one is I like to adopt a mindset of thinking that I'm the unluckiest person in the world. And I got this from Alex Homozy again. I go after my goals like there would be no luck in that route. So if I'm the unluckiest person in the world, if no one is ever going to present an opportunity to me and I need to devise all the opportunities around my life, how will I go about a particular task, right? And most of the times in this world, you would always get lucky at a particular time. When by chance anything comes your way, you are so ready. Life comes at you so fast and you're always so ready. And people are like, how do you do this? How do you do this? But you put in the work. The next tip is using timers when I want to work. So I do this thing now where I set my stopwatch on, and if I want to do any task, I evaluate how much hours I need to do that task. So if I get any distractions, like I need to go to the kitchen to put off the cooker, I just click it so it stops, and it makes me know how much time I'm spending on a particular task. There was a study done during COVID or after COVID. Most 9-to-5 workers were able to take on up to 3 extra jobs during COVID, because the tasks they did for 8 hours when they were still working in the office, they now did in just 2 hours, due to the fact that they didn't have distractions, they didn't have other things disturbing them. The things you think you need 3 hours to do, you just think that way because of you haven't spent time understanding the time needed to do that task. And that's when this comes in handy. The next thing is identical to what I just mentioned, and it's called time blocking. If you go around YouTube, you would see so many videos talking about time blocking. Scheduling your whole day, allocating times in a day to different tasks you want to do. And right now, virtually all the hours in my day are accounted for. So I know what I want to do when I get up by 4, what I want to do by 5, by 6, everything is literally accounted for. And previously, what will happen when I get home, I just do whatever I want to do. And if I have time at the end of the day, I would work. But now, I always have my time to work because I know when is my time to work. I already talked about playing, so allocate your time for Netflix, allocate the time for this. Obviously, time for Netflix will be shorter than the time to work, ideally. So allocate different times and then allocate your time to work. Ensure you stick to it. Don't forget to start small first and then keep on increasing the hours of work. I know that there's some of us that haven't understood what that passion is and the right goal to pursue. I'll say this. I want you to do this exercise today, tomorrow. Ask yourself this question. Please write it down. What would I do if I was fearless and it was impossible to fail? What's that thing you would pursue every day if you could see the future ahead and you knew that you were going to be among those top people you idolize? You knew that it was a certainty that you would win. If you could see the future and you knew that you would be number one, what's that thing going to be for you? And I want you to pursue that thing so much. That's your goal. My goal for this channel is to make it as practical as I can, because I want to make it impossible for your excuses to outweigh your intelligence. Because that's what happened. We claim that we're going to do something. Time goes on. We forget to do it. We make excuses. And in my journey, I'm still on my journey, by the way, I realized that most of the times where I stood up to do things, there were instances where I had received the clear blueprints to go and just do an action. So when I was younger, my dad would show me how to cut a coconut fruit to get the juice out, to get the fruit out. It was so easy for me to go and do this again, as opposed to when I was way much younger and he would tell me to tell him what the time is. And I'm just looking at the clock and it looks so confusing. When we are given a blueprint, the steps to take towards something, it makes it so much more easier. And that's my goal for everything I'm going to be doing here, to leverage the little experience I have and make things more easier. And guys, the next video will show me practically making an extra $10,000 as a copywriter and marketing strategist in just 29 days. You need to subscribe if you haven't, and I think also turn on post notifications so you get that immediately it's out, especially if you want to add an extra source of income this year. And don't forget to start the Momentum Challenge right now. Go on, click the link in the description and make this year blast.